So for this one, I'm going to be checking out the next part of TexTalks BattleTech, the turning point of Twycross, Chapter 10, Endgame, which comes on the heels of a Liao being the absolute most badass character I could possibly imagine, which is something I never thought I would say in regard to BattleTech. I know Liao has a fascinating history, but it's usually, these were really cool people until they got taken over by just the biggest morons. Yeah, so we're going to see what happens here and find out what people meant when they said there's someone even more badass coming out in the second half of this video texted. And honestly, if there's someone more badass in this, oh, that's going to be good. Also, Takamaru, you mentioned you forgot to remind you a few streams ago to check out Endless Tavern, the Indomitable Guardsman Spirit guy. Remind him at the end of the stream. Endless Tavern, the Indomitable Guardsman. For some reason, I think I remember that. I don't think I got to check it out. Was it a video or something else? Because when I hear Tavern, for some reason, I always go to my mini factory because I'm doing a lot of printing. Huh. Either way, jumping in and seeing where this goes. Probably to giant freaking guns.
On the plain of curtains,
come on,
the
Tex.
Hellhounds were fighting for their lives as the
so we went from the ambush on the backside, which is Liao being absolutely badass and taking out all the mechs with a well-placed, completely fictitious fusion explosion. It's a stack pull. We're just going to run with it. And now we're going to the actual main fight that they anticipated without the backup.
Jade Falcon garrison was more than a match for their inner sphere
But there's no way to pull BS
when
here.
Individual clanner mechs ran forward to join battle, the Hellhounds with straight discipline controlled their fire and focused to destroy them one at a time. Soon enough, the Falcon Airier commander reined her troops in and then proceeded to advance in a more controlled fashion.
See, that's actually kind of fascinating because everything I hear about the clans is how they are the superior warriors. They are smarter, tougher, faster. And then you get into this and like, so they ran in one at a time? Or like just as a random warrior mob, as opposed to soldiers who are actually fighting together one at a time, taking down an enemy. Yeah, that makes sense. It's actually the difference between the Roman and barbarian legions early on. Granted, it also ended the same way the Roman versus barbarian legions ended early on in Roman history, with the barbarians eventually coming back enough times that they won, which is how Rome got sacked multiple times.
Demonstrating incredible resilience even after the brutal surprise of first contact. Reorganized, they pressed into the AFFC forces and began to efficiently cut them down. However, at point-blank range, the advantages in clan weapon systems were mostly nullified.
Really?
And soon enough, this battle became a meat grinder of CQB firefights.
Because unlike when I play with clan mechs, they're meant for long range and not getting close. Yeah, especially if you have PPCs, they don't do good up close.
Under pressure from superior opponents, the Hellhounds took significant casualties and began to fall back. If supported by their 2nd Regiment, the Hellhounds reasoned that they could hold for just 1 hour, enough time for the missing 9th RCT to perhaps seal the plain and win the day. Indeed, somewhere out in the storm, the 9th was, at best guess, 45 minutes away. That is, if they could even reach them, which, thus far, they could not. The storm did not choose sides, and so, for that moment, they were entirely on their own. Further,
okay, I gotta ask, does someone actually know what mech this is? Because I don't remember off the top. Oh, it froze up. Yeah, what mech specifically had the giant, looks like afterburners on it, but also gauntleted hands as well, like the 3-pronged fingers. I don't recognize this one. Huh. Also, Xenon Dragon, you asked if anyone else is in your tier for the Turkey Dragon. Nope. Technically, you are the first person at that membership tier. So if that's what you want, I'll do it. The only reason I was putting on a poll is mostly because that is going to be a very heavy print. Oh, yeah. Might have to hollow it. That should be fun. But it'd be very interesting to get a Dragon Turkey for next month.
Further, the loss of comms with Sector 0227 suggested that something terrible had happened. Fearing the worst outcome, AFFC Command ordered Victor Steiner Davion to pull out,
to get
hoping
rid
to
of the
try
guy
to
who's
save
the
him
biggest
as the
liability if
predecessors
they
had at
die.
Trail 1. However, this time, the prince was not having it. So instead, Victor Steiner Davion made a choice. He ordered 4 Lyran dropships to rotate to Sector 0227
Wait, what?
to delay Falcon reinforcements.
He's attacking with dropships. Oh, see, this is something I wish came up more in BattleTech games, because I'm not sure how common this is in the various bits of lore, but these are supposed to be absolutely massively defended pieces of, oh God, why does it have so many guns? They land, they don't move, but dear God, they are supposed to be heavily defended. So that's admittedly probably more guns than a mech has, but also it does not dodge and hard to replace.
Supported by his commanding officers, he then made plans to fight with the forces on hand.
So he's
On
delaying
his
the backup
command,
so that he doesn't
the
get overwhelmed.
Kellhounds reinforced
The
their
enemy's
lines
backup.
with their 2nd Regiment and rotated their flanks to bolster their position. As this unfolded, Victor called for the 10th Guards to stand to and prepared to advance. They would be
That's
called
awesome.
upon to hammer the Falcons with all of the big, dumb strength a Lyran Guards division is
Cyclops?
historically known for. As the 10th Lyran Guards swiftly formed up on Victor, and with the Kellhounds at center stage, the order to attack.
Oh, yeah, I think Tex mentioned he got the people who were doing Broken Steel, or was it Real Steel? The animation he voiced for to do some of his things in here. And I recognize this style. This is an animation company that's been doing a progressive series of small animations for a BattleTech section. And they're beautiful. Their people are actually improving every bit of the way, but their mechs are amazing immediately. And I can recognize that style here.
Attack was given, and so onward they thundered, taking the fight to Clan Jade Falcon.
This is so
this
cool.
point, the howling intensity of the storm was so fierce, it made LRM and SRM systems completely ineffective.
Even SRM,
Targeting
what's your
and
close range?
communications data was spotty at best, and none of the mechs were fully certain who they were fighting until targets likely filled the cockpit window.
And that's why an Atlas is probably one of the best, because it is one of those things where if you could see this, you're too close at already dead.
Oh, needless to say, this was now a very brutal, point-blank hellscape of burning machines and mad pilots trying to survive. Soon enough, the Jade Falcon garrison commander realized that the Falcon Guards, and thus their backup, was not going to arrive.
I just need a second to appreciate this. This is such a cool image. The Mad Cat taking down the commando, being shot by what looks like probably a Marauder on the side with the arm gun with a PPC hitting it. Sorry, I'm having a nerd moment right now. Also, Michael Hamilton mentioned apparently there's a YouTube app issue where it switches over videos. I'm not having that issue right now myself, but if anyone else is, apparently switching to a browser to watch anything is fixing it. So if you're having other issues like that today, that's one of the ways he found to fix it.
And very likely surmised that something had gone horribly wrong back at the canyon. Now outnumbered and being overrun by Lyran
Vulture and a Mad
forces
Cat
selling
fighting back to
themselves
back.
dearly at point-blank range, she wisely ordered a retreat. Breaking free of the massive attack was an act of skill under fire.
They actually retreated.
Compromised by poor communication and the intense chaos of that moment.
They would actually retreat?
And as the clanners retreated, they ran right into the 9th RCT
Because they were backed up by the guys dropping
from the storm, and soon after, with fresh mechs and a taste for vengeance.
And of course, when they say, and then there's John Mexina, is a freaking Highlander. Yeah, never saw it coming.
Hunted the last of them down. With the defeat of the garrison forces, thanks to the bumbling arrival of the 9th, serving as an accidental anvil to the 10th's very clumsy hammer, and Kai's burial
they got
of
lucky,
the Falcon Guards
and it
moments
worked.
earlier, Clan Jade Falcon was effectively neutralized on the planet. With this, the Battle of Twycross ended as the first Inner-Sphere major victory against the clans.
So this actually was the first.
As for Victor Steiner Davion, he refused to leave the battlefield until his autocannon was empty.
I mean, depending on how many shots and what sizes, that could be, what, 5 seconds? I'm just saying, if it's actually going to do damage, it's not going to have a lot of time to shoot. I'm not salty about that at all. Adapt and
Post-battle, the task force took prisoners and hauled away broken clan equipment as legitimate salvage.
Yep, that's how they built some
technological treasures, perhaps hidden in the broken machines of their adversary.
Which did happen.
Clanner prisoners expected to be taken as bondsmen, and were deeply confused as when asked to what clan they now owed allegiance.
What?
They were initially met with an indifferent shrug.
Because their policy is bondsmen, so they don't actually have full allegiance. It's, we're now loyal to the person who beat us. But that's not how the Inner Sphere works. The Inner Sphere is, I gave my word and also my wallet to this person. Fuck all y'all. Yeah, so this is probably... Actually, would be an interesting story to see the psychology of, wait, we're not fighting for you now? That'd be fascinating. Also, Mega Man, you mentioned, sounds like a usual Tuesday on Cybertron. Oh yeah, the bug issues. I would do it.
The total cost of Inner Sphere personnel and equipment lost in the operation was indeed high, but the morale boost from knowing the invaders could be bested was considered by most in the AFFC to be well worth it. Nowadays considered to be a Pyrrhic victory for minimal strategic gain, the will to fight was restored by Twycross, and as such, it became a valuable propaganda moment. However, the actual legacy of the battle was not in propaganda, but the validation of military strategy. Twycross proved the value of old techniques and tactics, which had made that victory possible.
Everyone shoot at the same target together and make sure that the opponent can't back-end you by destroying their logistic train, or the ability to move mechs by dropping a canyon on them. Well, it just further validates exactly what Tex said. The old adage works. Rocks fall, everybody dies.
The Federated Commonwealth had standardized...
Okay, what mech are these? I think this is almost looks like a... I want to say a hunchback, but that's definitely not that. It's not a Cyclops because it's in there. It has 4 cannons there. This is probably one of those odd variations of a mech I already know.
Their combined arms formations to more closely mimic those of the Star League era. And to further the effectiveness of these regiments, they applied doctrine and tactics which did not stray far from the ancient theories of absolute war.
The irony that the clans invade to bring back the Star League, and they accidentally force the Inner Sphere to adopt Star League tactics.
These were methodologies from which the Inner Sphere had strayed during the Succession Wars
by not having
due
enough
to
things
mounting
to do it.
logistical and resource limitations,
as
if
in
not
any
the
resources
malaise of Inner Sphere strategic thinkers during those times. And while the Commonwealth may...
And partially because Comstar was probably fucking over anyone who could do anything about it. And Comstars, they would be doing that now, wouldn't they?
They were not alone in taking the fight.
Partially doing it now.
As Victor Steiner Davion was not the only Inner Sphere noble to redeem themselves against the invaders that year. It would be House Kurita that would drive the second blow into the clan invasion.
Oh, because at this time they were actually really awesome, weren't they?
The miserably warm swamps of Wolcott would be the stage for a triumph of Kuritan battle strategy.
Right on the edge.
The location for the battle was carefully dressed for the invaders' arrival, with local defenders hanging long metal strips from the trees in order to fog clanner sensor returns.
Wait, what?
This, coupled with the miserable heat haze of the swampy marsh,
haze and
would
actual
remove
reflection.
any sensor advantage the clanners had. The architect of this defense was Theodore Kurita, the coordinator of the Draconis Combine. At his side was his son Hohiro, who was likely very eager for revenge thanks to his experiences earlier in the invasion. He had seen the heavy hand of a clanner temper tantrum burn a world, and thus he was filled with the resolve to pay this memory back.
The world they're mentioning, I do know, does come up in Mechwarrior 5 Clans. I haven't got to that point yet, but I can't wait to see this. I don't know if Tex planned this or not, but he's making such a good, timely video on this.
Tenfold. Taking the field were the 1st and 2nd Geneosha, who were the most fanatic and loyal soldiers of the DCMS.
Oh.
However, to fool the clanners, their records would reflect these as green troops, and totally unproven on the battlefield.
And when the clans do their entire bullshit of, well, that's not honorable, they're going to act as if they're fighting the absolute most green.
The defenders were ordered to sit in their idling mechs with most of their heat sinks switched off.
What?
Save for those in the legs, an act which concealed their heat signatures thanks to the...
Because they were in water, so they could dump heat in... Oh, so they're basically dumping heat into the water and it looks ambient at that point.
Already warm water. Backing the elite forces up was a swarm of hovercraft and fast-moving combined arms elements well suited to the swampy terrain. To call this an ambush is insufficient. This, instead, was to be a carefully prepared killing field.
Best kind of ambush.
And so, the stage was set. All they needed now was a dance partner. As fate would have it, Clan Smoke Jaguar had selected the 225th battle.
Oh. I wonder if this is the fights that comes up in clans as well. I haven't got that far in. I'm very early into the game, but I have absolutely no idea. But considering Smoke Jaguar is the people you're following, this might be it.
Clustered to take Wolcott, which was the very same clan galaxy which had ravaged Edo.
Yep, that would definitely mean we are going to be playing through whatever Tex is covering right now. Dude, also people are talking about both the Vengeance Saga for Epic coming out on the 31st and a new Hell of a Boss episode. Dude, that's awesome.
Smoke Jaguar burned toward the planet. The typical challenges were issued.
Only 2 planes.
Terms negotiated, and then accepted by both sides.
They were given unlimited hovercrafts. That's just proof that the gameplay and the lore do not match, because if you get unlimited hovercrafts, I don't care. You put out an entire army of just, this is now my board covered in every single octagon or whatever, heptagon, no, I think it's an octagon of movement tile is covered in hovercrafts. You're just going to look at that and go, well, GG.
The clanners landed uncontested at the designated trial site. Then shortly thereafter, all hell was unleashed.
Yeah.
From out of the mire and muck, packs of Savannah Masters, Drillsons, and Saracens savaged the flanks of the invaders, causing them to close ranks. And at that moment, the heavy elements of the Geneosha jumped on them, completely saturating the target-rich environment as they engaged.
Goddamn.
As soon as the clanners would move to put more distance between themselves and trouble,
they fight at range.
Lighter, swifter machines of the Combine would dart in and wreak havoc once again, forcing them back into the kill box. For hours, this was done to the clanners, over and over again, in continual cycles of mayhem and murder. Every move the clanners made was met and punished by overwhelming firepower, and so losses quickly mounted. Seeing the light...
Was that a freaking point-blank archer firing its laser? I think that was a point-blank archer firing its laser. Yeah, that is a point-blank archer firing its laser. Oh, I love this freaking mech.
Mounted. Seeing the likely outcome of total annihilation, the Smoke Jaguar commander ordered the unthinkable.
What?
Star Colonel Dieter Osis told his forces to power down, and then surrendered.
What?
Up to...
Wait, they would do that? I mean, just hearing Jade Falcon retreat was crazy, but actually surrender. I was under the impression that Smoke Jaguar's entire mentality is, fuck all y'all. Fuck us all as well. I got mine, and I also want some of my own, so I'm going to take it for myself by ripping off my own arm to steal my arm. Again, I'm not very far into Clan to see the redefinition of how they're being portrayed in that game. But I basically got the assumption that they are, at best, the comically evil faction that was destroyed in universe for being said comically evil faction. The fact that they would even consider surrender, not just defeat, but putting surrender as an option is kind of shocking.
To that point, there had been a bare handful of battles during the Jaguars' ruthless march through Combine space where they ever had to actually reinforce. But this was something completely new.
Yep.
It was nothing short of a full admittance of failure in the face of the enemy. Defeated but honorable, Osis requested Hegira, which is clanner speak for safe withdrawal without further combat.
But that would not be a thing that Kurita would know about, so it's just a random word. Unless it's actually based on Japanese, they might be able to figure it out based on their own cultural impressions. I have no idea. Honorable withdrawal from battle granted by a clan warrior to a defeated enemy without further hostilities. Except this is also personal, so even if the guys in charge of Kurita know, they're not going to take it. Yeah. And Mega Man, you asked, question, Battle Mech versus Transformers, who do you think wins? At the lower level? I think BattleTech, or sorry, Battle Mech, if that's supposed to be BattleTech, I would say BattleTech because they're just crazier motherfuckers. But at the bigger level, like Optimus up, I'd go Transformers because you get to a level of I'm going to eat planets is one of the villains. So yeah, it's a level thing. And Transformers can outscale it pretty hard. Hell, I mean, it can outscale most franchises until you get to the absolutely absurd bull.
And after a brief pause, it was granted, but with conditions. As bargained, Clan Smoke Jaguar left the Draconis Combine their broken machines and equipment, plus 4 near-mint Omnimax.
Wait. Not just their mechs, the ones that were powered down, not destroyed, but near mint. Okay, yeah, I see why they accepted. That is a technological... wow. That is not just getting the castle trove of tech before the clan invasion. This is active, intact pieces of technology that aren't even shot at. And some that have survived
2
it.
Suits of power armor
And that too.
as a Sorla, or what we in the Inner Sphere call a
bribe?
war prize.
Yeah.
Additionally, through clever negotiations by Huhiro during the battle, the clans would make no further effort to take Wolcott. Osis did not live to receive reprimand from his commanders for this catastrophic battle. Defeated, he offered to serve the Combine, but not knowing the clan way of bondsmen, Huhiro Kurita turned him down, very likely presuming that this would take the form of ritual suicide, as is Kuritan custom. Refused the status as a bondsman, Osis then pleaded with Huhiro that his children must not be destroyed. This shocked the Kuritans, who did not understand what he meant in the slightest.
I don't either.
Before anything else could be said, a battle-suited elemental retired Dieter Osis from service via a laser to the head. Shortly thereafter, one of the clan warriors opened a channel, declared the Jinyoshi a worthy opponent, stated that they were leaving, and then asked, "Do you wish to have the commander's children destroyed?" Without hesitation, Huhiro answered, "No." And so the Jaguars left Wolcott, securing another victory for the Inner Sphere.
See, this is the thing. I'm hoping Tex covers it, and he probably will, but I don't know nearly enough about the clans to understand a single word of what's said. But I have a distinct feeling when we get into the game, Mechwarrior 5 clans, of course, we are going to get a lot more detail about this from the clan perspective, because I barely got into that game, but I feel like they're setting up a lot of really emotional moments that I'm coming from the clans are the big bad enemy you got who are super cool, but also really frustrating. So I'm really fascinated by getting to this type of moment where the clans are the victim. They're the ones on the back foot, and seeing them at a human point. Because that's something that, hell, BattleTech doesn't show often for them.
While leaving the Kuritans wondering in stunned silence about the clan's strange ways regarding failures of command and the punishments they potentially levied against generations for the failings of a single person.
Okay, I need to stop here or I will have to cut this stream short to go play Mechwarrior 5 Clans. And I honestly want to do that, and that's the problem. Because there's a lot of other things I need to do today. And if I did that, I would also in no way, shape, or form be able to record anymore because the sauna would be get way too hot, way too fast. I mean, I'm already sweating through the admittedly badly chosen sweater I'm wearing. So, yeah, I don't make smart choices. So we're going to cut this one here because that's so freaking cool. God damn you, Tex, for making something that just makes the clan seem both really cool, beatable, hyping up their enemies, but showing their emotions here and just... If this was not sponsored in some way by Paradox pushing Mechwarrior 5 Clans, then it is by far the absolute best unintentional product promotion I can imagine. And it's just literally someone in Paradox going, I'm going to take credit for this. And that makes perfect sense. For anyone wondering, Paradox is the company that made the BattleTech game Mechwarrior 5 Clans, and it just happened to come out the exact same time, or close enough that it matched up with this. And it's just fascinating how well it's working out. And how much I'm kind of wishing now we can go back into a Star League era fighting through a Maris Mechwarrior 5 game. Because that would also be cool, and also because it would be literal armies of mechs, and the graphical processing capabilities of that would literally blow up my computer, and I have a pretty high one. And by blow up, I mean it would literally light on fire with that many objects I have to process. It'd be worth it for the 5 seconds it's able to do it. And then the 3 hours of going, oh god, why is it on fire? Would probably be a bad option. Paradox made the BattleTech game. Piranha made the Mechwarrior. That's on me. I've been saying the wrong name this entire time because they both start with P. And they're both BattleTech games that came out at nearly the same time, even though the new one just came out now. Yeah, that's on me. Either way, thanks for watching, everyone. I'm loving this video. Check out the link below to Tex. He did an amazing job on this, and I can't wait to see what he's doing next.